So Sandy, Joe and I decided to invite you down because I bumped into you at CES.
Yeah.
And rather than just having coffee, I decided, hey, let's have you meet some of these entrepreneurs doing some cool stuff down in Detroit. So now that you have been here, met some entrepreneurs, did a tour, what do you think?
Well, first off, I'm totally blown away. I had no idea that something like this was down here in Detroit. I'm really impressed that Ford basically ponied up the cash to make all this stuff happen. I'm really impressed. Really impressed. I brought I'm bringing samples home with me. Yeah, there's a couple of things here that I'm going to be taking back to some of my customers, making a little introduction here when I get back to work, because there's some solutions here that I believe are maybe not 100% ready, but damn close for some of our customers. So I'm going to be hooking people up.
Awesome, because that's actually one of the points that I wanted you to come down and check
Yeah.
things out, meet some people, because a person like you could really expand a lot of these entrepreneurs' opportunities, or what they didn't know or who they didn't know before. So
Yeah, well, we do this already with LTU, Lawrence Tech University, and they also have a program going on. A couple of things there that I've recommended already, but there's maybe even more things here that I'll be talking to folks about.
Yes, Sandy, when I've toured Newlab once or twice, and first of all, it's interesting the diversity of companies here, but I'm interested in your take. I mean, 3, 4, 5 years ago, money was everywhere. Interest rates were zero. It was, anyone could be an entrepreneur. Anyone could start an EV company, whatever. It's not the environment we're in now. As you look at some of the companies that you visited today, I mean, what do you think are the biggest challenges that they're going to have? Maybe it's different for different companies, but what are the biggest challenges you think they're going to have?
Well, number one is money. It's we're going to talk a little bit about the EV situation in a bit, but at the end of the day, maybe not right this very second, but I believe that it's going to go back to what we saw under Trump the first time. I think money is going to become a lot freer as we focus more on the United States and less on stupid stuff. I think that we're going to be right back where we were. It might take a year, but actually, I've already seen the money loosening up a smidge. Even I've loosened my wallet a smidge for investment. But right now, with everything that's going on, money's the big thing. But I think that can be overcome. A lot of the guys that are here, all they need is introduction. There's a lot going on, especially in the defense world. That's we were talking about that a little bit ago. I think defense at Munro is going to eclipse commercial and strategic for sure. I'm very pro the future. I think that we're in a good time. The focus is on the United States, and that usually means that investors feel a little bit more loose with their cash. And I believe that we're going to see some really good times coming up here. Like I say, within the next 12 months.
I've heard that from I've talked with some VCs recently, and I've heard that from them. That in the mobility space, defense is I mean, it's always been there, but defense is really important. If you can figure out a way to apply your tech to a defense use, that's a path to success.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things that are going on. Defense has been deprived for the last 4 or 5 years, and I think that and we've fallen behind. So moving ahead is what we have to do, and now it has to be moved quite a bit faster than the past. So some of these old specifications that they've got and whatnot, I think we're going to be tossing those out the window because, when people talk about relays and, okay, well, at the end of the day, we don't do that kind of stuff anymore. So I believe that we're going to see a great transformation.
And I think reshoring kind of dovetails into defense, right? Because mobility, everything can be commercialized from a mobility standpoint, and is not far of an extension to go from mobility, personal, private passengers to defense. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of gray areas before that are going to be it'll take a little bit to reshore a lot of this high technology manufacturing, but I do also think that there's going to be a decent amount of that's coming back to the United States.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, there's a bunch of chip manufacturers that would never have dreamt of moving to the United States that are, breaking soil all over the place. Like I said, if you've got somebody who focuses on the U.S., I know that there's a lot of other. I don't want to get into anything that's like out of my kin, but as far as technology is concerned, I'm hearing about mines that are being reopened. I'm hearing about actually not just hearing, but actually seeing factories that are opening now for refining these materials, so that, and some of them may come in a raw form and then come into the country. Like we had a guy from Australia yesterday in my office talking about how Australia now is shipping lithium ore. It's not pure lithium, or it's not the lithium that we can use right away, but the refining process will be done here in the U.S. So things for batteries, but even more importantly, things that we've walked away from in the past, steel work, aluminum work, that's all coming back as well.
Is it going to be a matter of kind of relearning manufacturing? I mean, we had the lean production revolution, and that seems like do we need another one? And how do you see that playing out?
Well, it's playing out right now. Lean manufacturing, we got absolutely zero requests for manufacturing as early as a year ago, and now we've hired like 4 or 5 guys and gals to come in, and because everybody wants to move up. So what you can do with 4 or 5 people and a couple of machines, now they're saying, well, for instance, drones. These guys were making 7 drones a month. Now the government wants 40 drones a week. Okay, that's a totally different design. You can't make this with 3D printing and whatnot. So I'm seeing, that I'm reciting something that I talked about 2 days ago with a very major funding source.
So is this about automating?
Yeah.
Beyond
this would be,
and I'll add to that, because maybe the suppliers that supplied 7 a week or whatever can't supply 40 a week now, or 40 a day.
Not with that design. No,
like entire supply chains need to be reconsidered.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
But what do you think of Newlab helping these entrepreneurs create their prototypes? Because I'll ask both of you, was there anything like this 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago in Metro Detroit that would stand
30, 40, 50 years ago? Must be talking about you, Joe.
Yeah,
a little long in the tooth, are we?
I don't think anything like this that was kind of an open to all kind of. Open to anyone. I mean, you can't just walk in,
right?
But it's open to whoever can kind of make the agreement to have the space. I mean, I suppose if you hired a company, that did prototyping, right, you could get your prototype, but that's a commercial arrangement. It's not like this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will tell you. So I'm 76. Hard to believe, but 50 years ago, I was 55 years ago, I was a tool maker. So in those olden days, you became inventive because you had machines that would do X, but you needed Y. So you had to be kind of inventive to figure out how you were going to make this using X machines with a Y deliverable. So it kind of drove you in a different way. But something like this, no, not even in the universities. There was nothing. There was zero like this. So 55 years ago.
So do we want to switch to talking a little bit about, I mean, this does connect because a lot of the concern driving what's going on here is a concern about whether or not the United States has lost an innovative edge to China. And I see Sandy rolling his eyes. We'll get there. So Sandy, I'm interested in your take on, because you've looked at Chinese automakers really closely. Talk about what you see or if you don't see a gap in sort of the pace of progress with the Chinese automakers that are up against the companies that, here in the United States.
And more broadly, right? Because there's the legacy automakers, but we really only have 2 or 3 startup EV companies.
Or suppliers,
right?
but
yeah.
Two, three counting Lucid and what do you call them? Rivian, yeah. Well, that's 4. So I'm old, so I can't count now. But we do have other smaller companies. So let me go back to what Joe asked. Okay, so from 2014 to 2020, where did I spend most of my time? 6 months of my year, every year. China. What was I doing? I was doing the bidding of folks like Volkswagen and BMW and General Motors and Ford, saying they kept on telling, Sandy, you got to go to China. You got to go to China. And I said, well, why? Well, because we already know what we're doing here. We don't need any help at all. And our designs are perfect. So you need to go and help the Chinese design a car. Really? Are you sure? And I harken back to the Roman Empire. Why did Rome fall? They taught the other guys how to fight. Good idea. So that didn't really probably fly as well as that they'd hoped for. The next thing, the barbarians are in there, the sack in Rome. So I that's what I thought. But what they thought was, this would be great because we'll get somebody else to get cheaper engineering, and then we'll just steal it if they even come up with anything. Well, and when I went in 2014, it was like FAW, Beijing Automotive, Chery, BYD, NEO, Quan Automotive, everybody. Oh, you're coming over? Great. We've got huge amounts of money. And I mean, we were making like 2-3 times the amount of money to teach them how to do what everybody in the United States didn't want to even hear about. No problem. We'll go and do it. It's a money world. I'm a material man. But at the end of the day, we taught them, and they got surprised. And then a couple of the car companies said, "You idiot! What'd you teach them to do that for? Now their cars are better than ours," and they are. Chinese cars are not like maybe the drink umbrella that fell apart when you were, in your teens or something. They make very good products, and it isn't just cars. Most of the appliances, apart from Whirlpool, nobody makes appliances here that stays here. GE is owned by Haier. Midea owns pretty much everything else. I mean, all these appliances, they're all designed and made in China. TVs, again, there's a myriad of Chinese and Korean companies. We also work with Samsung and LG and whomever. But at the end of the day, all of the smarts, all the engineering went away. Why? Well, because we can get it cheaper. And as soon as you bring in one of these characters who says you got to get cheaper engineering, you do. But when you give away manufacturing, you give away your future. And I don't care. I'll get into arguments with people who got MBAs and, "Do you realize what school I went to?" I got a good idea. But at the end of the day, if you give away manufacturing, you've given away your ability for a future. Yeah.
So as you look at the situation now, and I guess, this is a super broad question, but let's talk about the auto industry. Is there a way to get it back? Because it does seem like you're right that the Chinese in the auto sector, which is the one I know, the Chinese companies have gone from being, as you said, kind of a joke and kind of written off. BYD just today announced that they're going to have a charging system for their EVs that can put 240 miles in 5 minutes, which is basically, gas pump parity, which is the big deal.
At less than $40,000.
Yeah, at less than. I know this is talk for an hour about this, but what are some of the things that are going to have to happen to regain the lead for Western auto companies?
Okay, regain the lead. At the end of the day, this is a 100-yard dash, and the Chinese are on the 50-yard line, and we're starting at the start line. How do you catch up? Just think of anything athletic, okay? They're here, I'm here, and that water waddle over there is the finish line. How do you catch up? Let's harken back to my youth, okay? All right. GM had what market share in, let's say, 1960?
Like 50% plus, right?
60, yeah. What do they got now? Somewhere in there, yeah.
U.S., yeah.
U.S. What happened? The Japanese showed up. Why? I mean, a little dinky company. I went to Toyota in 1983. They weren't that big, but they were kicking our butts. And so was everybody else in Japan. Why was that? Well, I am from a famous university, and I have an MBA, and I am here to tell you how to get cheap, and you will get tremendous profits for at least 4 or 5 quarters. Okay. And that's what you got. I mean, this is a leadership decision. And when I joined Ford Motor Company, I heard Henry the Deuce and Lee Iacocca. We had an all-people's meeting on televisions, and it was really amazing. Wow. We're seeing this all the way from Dearborn, Michigan. And so that would be in 1978 or 9, something like that. And here these guys are talking about how, we're going to let the Chinese or Japanese have the small car market because they'll never figure out how to do luxury cars and pickup trucks. I'm glad I didn't go to that school because, quite frankly, I do a speech on this very topic. And do you remember there was a thing called the Wayback Machine? It was a cartoon and whatnot. Yeah, yep. On Rocky, the flying squirrel thing. Anyhow, so I give a speech on that. And I go back to 1960, and then I just go boom, 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 boom. And how does it happen? Well, when a competitor comes up with a better product than you have 2 options. You can go and say, well, they can have that little part, or you can say, attack right now, get it done. And they didn't. And right now, I think everybody is all pissed off at Trump about tariffs and keeping the Chinese out. What he's doing is buying time for all these guys. Everybody thinks that he's against electrification. I don't think so. I think what he's doing is buying times so we can try and catch up to where the Chinese are. People really don't understand Trump because most people don't have. We were talking about this just a little bit ago. You take a lot of classes and whatnot to find out how to be a good leader. When I was at Ford, and actually since I've had my own company, and there's a lot of different strategies and techniques you can use, and his is right out of the class. I mean, this is just right out of the textbook. You go in, you cause a lot of chaos and worry, and people are wringing their hands and whatnot. While that's happening, the calm people over here say, okay, how are we going to get from here to there while this guy is, running interference, as it were? That's what I think might be able to happen. Everything that I've seen coming out of Trump is that lone wolf kind of mentality, destroy this, destroy that. While everybody's arguing about stuff that doesn't matter, like how many people can go in a restroom or something, while they're arguing about that, you've got time for the rest of the population to try and use the time effectively for the next couple of years so that you can somehow catch up to where they are in China. And by blocking the Chinese and basically collapsing the free trade agreement, you're going to piss off Canada and Mexico, no doubt. But it might help out Ford, General Motors, Lucid, Rivian, and anybody else that happens to be doing things. Now they can put up their battery plants. Now they can figure out how to do mining, how they can refine the materials, and how, again, back to reshoring, how do they reshore?
Yeah. So I started the newsletter in 2017. So I feel like Paul Revere, like warning.
Yeah.
You know, you were there in 2014. So you started to see it right around 2014 because that's when NIO was established. That's when XPeng was established. Tesla entered the market in 2014. I lived right next door to the mall that had the second Tesla retail store in Beijing in all of China. The first store was opened in Shanghai. And so it's great that you say that these cars are awesome, generally speaking, because as electric vehicles and with BYD now accelerating, so it not only did they have an announcement yesterday about this super fast battery, but 2 weeks ago they had made an announcement about intelligent driving and how they were making it standard effectively on 22 of their products. And so they are really, really accelerating. The tail for EV adoption or clean energy vehicle adoption globally was super long, and they're really shortening it. But to your point, with the tariffs in Europe, the tariffs in the United States, I think they are trying to protect the automotive companies. But
they're just buying some time. And like I said, we tried that back in the 70s, right?
The voluntary export restraints.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, that may have been, but what it did was it forced the car companies to pull up their socks and do something. And that's kind of like what we have to see. We have to have competition. Without competition, nothing happens. Zero. And so now
that's one of my biggest fears, Sandy, is that besides these 2 or 3 EV startups and Tesla, there's not really that many companies pushing the Detroit 2 or Detroit 3, however you want to call them. Not the way that the legacies are being pushed in China by these EV startups.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're going to find is that the Europeans for sure are going to, well, it doesn't matter. Anything that's not Chinese is going to get pushed out of the market, period. I have no faith whatsoever that everybody's going to, like General Motors used to milk China like a cow. They made, so did VW. They made a tremendous amount of money, almost, but not quite. They made a tremendous amount of money, off of their brands and by the
like
best part is
like clockwork.
It was $2 billion. GM was $2 billion a year. You could count on it, and that's gone at least.
So here's the thing. I told you I trained them on how to design cars, but who trained them on how to build the cars? That's right in the right boom right here. Here we are. VW makes great cars, even if they're falling behind on the electrification, whatever. They make great cars. GM, great cars. Ford, great cars. BMW, Mercedes. Name the company, and they were there, right? And what were they doing? Oh, no. Don't do it like that. Do it like this. See, you got it. These are how you design the fixtures. And
they help set up the supply chain.
Oh, and absolutely. And so
to quantify Sandy's point, and Joe, you do this as well, within the last 10 years, Volkswagen had almost 4 million unit sales in China. GM almost 4 million units in China. GM, I think last year was less than 2 million. And Volkswagen is struggling mightily because the profit engines, the Porsches and the Audis, are really, really struggling in the China market. So Volkswagen is in dire straits.
Well, it's not just China. I mean, Volkswagen has broken off the North American operations, and quite frankly, a lot of the engineering work, design work is being done at Volkswagen in North America. There's a clear path to what's going on. When China collapses, and it will for Volkswagen, what are they going to do to prop up Volkswagen in Germany? And as you probably know, Porsche is not really part of VW anymore. There's strategies going on now just in case everything goes. If they can't get money from the government because their people issues are just astronomical. If you hire somebody and then 2 months or 3 months later you lay them off, you got to pay them for a year.
Right.
Holy moly! That's how do you get out of contracts with people when they've been around in the company for
and they've got
20
and their
years.
union has half the seats on the board.
Yeah.
I want to raise. I think we're close to. I want to raise one last topic before we wrap up here.
Yeah.
But it is kind of connected to this. And Sandy, I think a lot of people will know that you've spent a lot of time with Tesla, understanding Tesla. There's been a lot of noise around Tesla. I don't want to rehearse all that. I do want to ask you though, as you look at Tesla right now, I think you were just down there recently. Do they still have it? Are they competitive? Is the engineering and design and manufacturing machine down there still working?
So if we look at where's everybody, and we have a hierarchy, Tesla's here, and then the Chinese, and then everybody else. And that's kind of like what it is, and it's going to be there for a long, long time. All right, for instance, I got into my Cybertruck. I asked the truck to navigate to here, to Newlabs, and it popped up. I pushed the button, yes. I pushed the button that said self-drive, and that's it. So I drove from my driveway down little country roads that I live on, all the way up to I-75, down I-75, all the way around, and it actually found me a parking spot. Who else can do that? Nobody. And I'm telling you right now, Tesla is the world's best. And I know that, he's saying the wrong things, and he that's emotion. That's not smart. That's emotion. And quite frankly, you told me the stock is down at
the stock's lost roughly half its value from the peak.
Okay, so
that's
from the
not good.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you notice, sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down and up again. At the end of the day, I believe there's a lot of razzle-dazzle that doesn't. And by the way, I don't know if you're aware of it, but Elon is like removed from Tesla. You have to. If you're in government, you can't do that. You can't do that dance. So he's somewhere else. But Lars and Franz, they showed me what's going on. They showed me what's going on. The two videos, I mean, are brilliant. I mean, they came out and said, yeah, well, dank, that's made out of carbon fiber now, but we're probably going to go to propylene with glass, and it's it's not painted. It's going to be molded in color and stuff like that. So that kind of thing, they're way ahead. They're way ahead. This is going to drop the price of their vehicles significantly, and this is they call it the Sabre taxi or the Sabre cab. At the end of the day, it's the Model 2. Right. No hands, no feet. You just get in. Kids don't want a car with a steering wheel, and they don't need it or want it. All they want to do is get from this party to that party without getting arrested. You get in, you say, I want to go to Jimmy's house, and you got Jimmy's house, and it parks itself. They go in, they have a party, they do what they do, they get out, they get in. Take me home. And boom, they wound up in the driveway. That's what a kid wants nowadays. They're not interested in anything. Like, we were looking at how do we tear up the asphalt, and that's all gone. They just want to get from here to there, and that's it. And they don't need it or want it, and it works because I've already driven in it.
And this is where the big three or the D3 are partly to blame, because they kept on raising prices of their cars and made them unaffordable to young people.
Well, that's the question I had. I mean, the cost saving that you're talking about, Sandy, that's transferable to anything they build.
It is,
right?
And they make a whole lot more money than everybody else. But they sink it back in R&D. We were talking about, a little bit at the beginning of the program. Was there anything like this when I was a kid? No. But they used to have R&D in the big three and whatnot. There was way not possible for me to get involved with or even see, where they would come up with stuff like GM had a rocket car, or a jet car, I should say. How did the world get an automatic transmission? How did the world get air conditioning? I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah,
was
GM
invented.
Research was like the Bell Labs
of
the industry.
No,
right?
And the Bell Labs, where did they go? They're gone too.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
it's a set for a TV show.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you what. At the end of the day, we have a lot of people that focus their attention on next month's profit. And those guys are useless. If I had a huge company, or if I was in charge of Ford or something like that, they'd be out in a heartbeat, because they are appealing to people's greed. And and quite frankly, it never works. But people do. Oh, wait a minute. You mean if I? And so they chop this, they chop that, and they think they've just they're really smart, but in actuality, they just cut their legs off. And shareholders don't really participate that much. They don't really care for the most part. So when they do these goofy things, everybody thinks, oh, that's good. But sooner or later, if you put your money in that kind of a company and they're going down with R&D, then you're going to lose everything you've got.
People nowadays, because of social media, are also very short attention spans. So
yeah,
I don't think they realize the ditches that potentially these companies are driving themselves.
Well, there's no education on what goes on, what's right and wrong, right? I mean, I went to a technical high school, so mostly what I did was fooling around on lathes and milling machines and stuff like that. That's how I became a tool maker. We did have an economics class, but basically it just taught me how to, do my bank book. That was about it. Today, it's even less. I mean, people don't really understand the workings behind these big organizations. I'd say that we probably should spend more time on that as opposed to the latest thing I heard is grooming dogs in high school. Okay, I like dogs. I guess I don't have one, but I'm sure that they're great. But at the end of the day, wouldn't it be better to tell people how the stock market works, or how does your investment actually grow money and things like that? I don't think people are really understanding what's going on. But at the end of the day, if you look at companies that have failed, I'll pick GE. When I was a kid, GE made everything from light bulbs to jet engines to nuclear power plants.
Jack Welch used to be like
Jack, and everybody loves Jack Welch. Yeah, you go in there, they go, oh, Jack Welch. If only there was another. Are you kidding me? The guy should have been executed. That clown, he took the greatest movement on the planet, GE, and turned it into what? Well, they still make jet engines. What else? I don't know.
They sold off most everything else, I think.
They became a finance company.
Well, that's right. They made the...
Oh, yeah.
GE Capital, remember?
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, anyways.
I don't want to go there. I'm going to puke. If we keep this up.
Let's not do that.
Look at he's scratching the back of his hand. He knows that this microphone's got a lot of money. Don't let that guy...
So you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so.
So, Sandy,
yeah,
you got to meet some of these entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We'll have to do another podcast, and we'll invite you back down so you can make some of these other ones, because I'm excited about quite a few of these guys, because I talk with them, I deal with them probably on a weekly basis through TechTown. And so, yeah, man, thanks for sitting down and chatting with us, and hopefully we'll see your show with your guys' Newlab. Recording Newlab very soon.
Yeah.
All right,
Munro Live.
Yeah, Munro Live. But the big part here is we're going to slows, right?
Yes. We're cutting.
Absolutely.
That's why we're cutting.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us.